Antelope Canyon is a world-famous destination for photographers and tourists. I recently visited Upper Antelope Canyon. To visit the Upper Canyon, you must be part of a tour group. I opted for a photography tour so that I could bring a tripod and be in a smaller group made up of serious photographers. This video will primarily discuss different images I got inside Antelope Canyon and issues I ran into. From the air, the Slot Canyon appears to be nothing more than a crack in the ground. This aerial perspective belies the otherworldly views you can find inside. It also hides the incredible number of people that are packed inside. This image I found on Google gives a pretty accurate understanding of what it's like to be there in the canyon. If you're on a photography tour, the guides try and keep people out of your shot. At designated locations, we would line up in 2 rows. You have 2 minutes at each spot. This isn't a lot of time to set up, compose, set exposure, and fire away. It also means that you're going to be shooting very close to other photographers and their gear. The Upper Canyon is particularly known for its light beams. The light beams are only visible during certain parts of the year at midday. Thankfully, I was there at the right time of the year and at the right time of the day. Also, it was sunny for most of the time that I was in the canyon, so I was able to see and capture these famous light beams. When shooting the light beams, I tried to use the canyon around it to really frame the light beams. I also like, on these first 2 images, how the source of the light beam isn't visible. This makes the light beams seem more mysterious and ephemeral than they might otherwise. These shots, along with all of the shots that I'll show in this video, were shot on manual at ISO 200 f7.1. I adjusted the shutter speed based on the histogram in order to get the best exposure that I could. However, Antelope Canyon is beautiful with or without the light beams. These 2 shots show locations that didn't have light beams, but still showcase the incredible geometry and beauty of this Slot Canyon. I think they called this rock feature the Abraham Lincoln face, and I think they called this the keyhole. Although Antelope Canyon is particularly known for its colors, there is still a place for black and white, or in this case, duotone images of Antelope Canyon. I think that the black and white or duotone images better highlight the texture and the luminosity changes of the canyon walls than the color images do. So that's an option to consider in post-processing as well for Antelope Canyon images. I also captured a few detail-oriented images in Antelope Canyon. The one on the left is kind of contrived, where the guide pours sand onto this rock ledge and you can do a shutter drag and capture it falling down. The second is the canyon wall, which is just filled with all of these lines and texture that make it a really appealing image, and it's really cool in person. So if you go to visit Antelope Canyon, be on the lookout for some of these detail shots as well. So because of the previously mentioned time and space constraints that come from being a part of this photography tour in Antelope Canyon, there's a number of challenges that I faced. Hopefully, if you're watching this video, you'll be able to learn from what went well and what didn't go well, so that you can get better shots if you go visit Antelope Canyon. The first big challenge that I faced was dynamic range. So a lot of the images that I took, including this one, were shot with a 3-image HDR merge. I bracketed plus or minus 2 stops or so in order to capture the full dynamic range that I saw in the canyon. However, minus 2 stops was not enough to capture the sky, or things that were really close to the sky. I think that's clear in this image. If I were doing this again, I would have created 3 images by spot metering on the extreme highlights, extreme shadows, and midtones, and taking 3 and bracketing that way rather than just doing a blind plus or minus 2 stops. An alternative solution is to simply avoid capturing the sky in the compositions. However, this is made more difficult by the second challenge, which is that because you're in this tightly packed group, once you set down your tripod legs, you're pretty much stuck in that position. So if you can't compose what you want by simply moving the tripod head, then you're probably out of options. This is an example where I really wish I could have just moved a little bit to the left by maybe 6 inches. This would have let me cut out that blown out region of the sky. That's just one of the realities of being on this tour, is that once you set down your gear, there's not really much you can do to move your tripod at that point. The final challenge to be aware of is that although the guides do a really great job trying to keep people out of your shots, they can't see everything or control everything, and it's likely that in some of your images there probably will be people, or as in this image, parts of people visible. Again, that's just the reality of shooting in this incredibly popular and crowded destination. Overall, going to Antelope Canyon as part of the photography tour was a great experience. It was fairly high pressure because of the 2-minute time constraints, but I did enjoy the rapid-fire decision-making process that this required. The time and space constraints, along with a dark, high dynamic range environment, make this a fairly challenging place to take pictures. So if you are a beginner or not very familiar with your gear, this expensive tour may not be worth the money. If you are looking for a more leisurely and less crowded place to shoot, check out some of the other stunning slot canyons in the area. If you enjoyed this video, definitely check out my companion blog post, which you can find at danielwitten.com/blog. The text version goes into more detail about the photography tour experience and allows you to view full-screen copies of some of the images in this video. If you like this video and want more, hit the subscribe button below and check out my blog for more content. If you have questions or feedback, I would love to hear from you in the comments.